In this video, we are going to know how to create a service provider. So for that, Laravel has a command that we can use. And for example, we are going to execute. First, let me clear my console. And we are going to execute PHP artisan make provider. Then we need to put or type the service provider name. I'm gonna call it custom service provider, but you can call the service provider as you want. I'm gonna call it custom service provider. Then you can access to your service provider, and you can see there are two methods that we talk about it in the previous videos. That is the method register, which is executed at the first time, then the method boot, which is executed after the method register was executed, and all of them are executed inside of the provider's array. One by one class are executed. You need to notice that the provider is the file is created inside of the app folder, then providers folder, then your custom service provider will be created inside of this folder. So to know that this service provider is working, I'm gonna use this dd method, which I can put a string, and I'm gonna type custom service provider is working. Then this service provider is not still used. I need to tell Laravel that Laravel need to use this service provider. So I'm going to copy this class name, and I'm going to put the service provider inside of here, and the service provider is inside of app providers custom service provider, and then we need to type that it is a class. So I'm going to start my Laravel, and as you can see, and there is a text that types custom service provider is working. The application is stopped because Laravel is trying to, when the server is starting, Laravel is loading all of those service provider, and I break the flow using this dd. This is why we can see this string. So that means that service provider is working because Laravel can know that this class is being used inside of this element of inside of this array, which is inside of this app file. I'm going to comment out this line, and I'm gonna start my Laravel application. Then I'm going to access to my project, and then I'm going to access to that view. It is a welcome view, and I'm gonna try to print a new unexistent variable. So that means I'm gonna have an error. Test. I'm gonna call it test. So if I refresh my project, I will have an error because test variable doesn't exist. But I want that test variable. I want this test variable should be available on every page, on every view that I have in my project. So for that, I could call the view method of Laravel. Then that method has a composer. As you can see, I need to set the views that can be used this new functionality, and I can say that every view will use the functionality, then we need to use a callback. As you know, a callback is just a function, and it could be an anonymous function. So I could declare a new function inside of here, and that function accept the current view that is gonna be used. Then I'm going to return that view, and this should not throw any error. So if I restart my, oh, I'm going to comment out this line so that we can see that the application is working very fine. And I'm going to use this line again, and I want that any view should have a test variable available. So I'm going to declare that variable test. I'm going to write any string. This string is working very good, and this view will use is will use this test, and I'm going to pass my variable test. So that means that it should work. And as you can see, this string is working very well. So now the variable exists. I'm going to remove this dd so that it will be print in the view, not will be broke in the page. And as you can see, you can see that this string is working very well. This string is working very good. So that means that we are loading a variable from our service provider, which is loaded before every request is made.
Build your brand online.
I need to tell you something. So this functionality should be in the boot method, because as I told you before, this method is executed at the first time. So that means the other service provider has not already loaded. So if we use some of functionalities from another component, maybe it will throw an error. So this is why we need to use this boot, because in boot method all of the service providers are loaded. So that means that we can use their functionalities.